Today we're talking about CCM 6, converting metric measurements. This is calculator active, but you probably won't need one. Metric measurements are measurements that are used around the world, popular in Europe and Australia and other places, not here in the United States, not as much as those other places. But here are the units of measure, and we've come up with a saying that might help you remember these units of measure in order. So the first one is kilo, so that's really, really big, and the next one's hecto, then deca, and then here in the middle we have our base unit. So that's meters, liters, and grams. So that's usually what people start out with and then make something bigger or smaller. So that's our unit of measure. And then we have deci, centi, and milli. So like I was saying, you might have like a liter of Pepsi or a liter of water. And if you look on the label, it might tell you how many milliliters that is. And the way that you convert from liters to milliliters is by multiplying by 10 or dividing by 10. So if you are trying to move from, let's say, kiloliters to centiliters, you would just use these rules. A lot of times we do 5Ks. So that's how many kilometers you've gone, right? And so you use the meter and then you figure out how many kilometers or kilometers that is. So this is the unit of measure, again, used scientifically and in a lot of other countries. And you'll also see it on different labels and such here in the United States. Why don't you take a second and write all of this down on your info sheet or on a piece of notebook paper. Just pause the video and you can copy all of this stuff down. Okay, we're going to do a couple problems now. Please follow along with me in your notes, or if you didn't get the notes, just copy down the problems and we'll do them together. Okay, complete the unit conversions. Up here, we've got our letters for the units of measure, for metric. KHDUDCM, and the saying that we had was King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk. So it's kind of easier to figure out the order when you have a funny saying that goes with it. All right, so we have 18 liters, and we want to know how many milliliters that is. So if I have liters, that's my unit. And I want to go to milliliters. And this is what milliliters looks like as an abbreviation. So I need to move my decimal 3 spaces to the right. In the number 18, the decimal is located right there. So I'm going to move the decimal 3 places to the right and fill in any zeros. So the I guess conversion is 18,000 milliliters are in 18 liters. When you filled out your notes just a minute ago and you wrote inside that arrow, if you're moving to the right, you're multiplying by 100. So let me bring back this slide. If we're making this number smaller, we're multiplying by 10. We're multiplying by 10 each block we go. So I was going to multiply by 10, then 10 again, then 10 again. 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. So I literally took my number 18 and I multiplied it by 1,000 to get 18,000. And since when we count in base 10, that's equivalent to just moving the decimal. So we don't need to set up any proportions here like we did when we did customary. We're just moving the decimal here, which is a lot easier once you get the hang of it. So let's try some more. I have 550 centimeters and I want to know how many meters that is. So I'm going back to my measurements here, and my starting place here is in the centimeter spot. I would like to move to meters, so I'm actually going left 2 places. So 550, the decimal would be located right there, and I'm going to move to the left 2 places. 550 centimeters is equal to 5.5 meters. If you go back to the arrows that you wrote down before, when you divide numbers by 10 if you need to get bigger. So I went from centimeters, I want to go to the main unit, so I divided by 10 each move I made on this chart. So divide by 10, divide by 10. In total, that's divide by 100. So my problem, 550 divided by 100 is 5.5. Again, because we use base 10 anyways, if we just remember to move the decimal, we'll be good. Also, we need to make sure that we memorize the order of these metric measurements so that when we move the correct amount of places. If you use the saying, King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk, that'll help you remember. All right, I've got 3 centimeters. Here's my starting place. I want to know how many millimeters that is. So I'm going to move 1, and I'm going to multiply by 10, or if you just remember to move the decimal 1 place to the direction you're going, like I moved right, so I'm going to move my decimal to the right, then you'll know that 3 centimeters is equal to 30 millimeters. If you want to try 4 through 10 on your own, you can, or if you would just rather do these problems with me, you can do that as well. If you want to move ahead, just push pause, and then when you're ready, push play, and I'll go through the problems with you. Okay, so I want to go now from milliliters to liters. So here's my starting place, and I'm going 1, 2, 3 units. If I have this number, here's my decimal. I'm moving 1, 2, 3 places to the left. 29 and 100. I can leave this extra 0 off because it doesn't have any value when it's on the outside of my number. So 29 and 100 liters. If I have 6 kilograms, I'm starting in the kg, so I'm starting over here, and I want to go to grams, that's my unit. I move 1, 2, 3 places to the right. So I'm going to 1, 2, 3 places and fill in my gaps with zeros. So 6 kilograms is equal to 6,000 grams. We've got some more practice. And again, if you don't have this written on your paper, go ahead and jot it down because that's how you make your work a lot easier. I've got 17 millimeters. Here's my millimeters. I want to know how many centimeters that is. I move the decimal 1 place to the left. So in the number 17, there's my decimal. Move it 1 place to the left. I've got 1.7 centimeters. Here, my problem's written a little bit backwards, but it doesn't really change how I work my problem. I've got 12 milliliters. That's here. I want to know how many liters that is. Liters are my unit measurement. If my decimal is here in the number 12, I'm moving 1, 2, 3 units to the left, and I fill in my gap with a 0. I also like to have a leading 0 when I write decimals that have no whole number. So 12 thousandths is my answer here. If I have 4 kilometers and I want to know how many millimeters that is, I'm assuming that's going to be a lot because I'm moving all the way across my chart. I'm moving from kilometers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places to meters, millimeters. So here's my decimal in the number 4, and I'm literally moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, filling in the zeros And that number, let's write it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ends up being 4 million millimeters. If I've got 14 hectograms, and I don't really use hectograms a lot, but let's say we had 14 of them. I want to know how many grams that equals. Here's my starting place. I'm moving 2 units to the right. Oops. Fill in the gaps with zeros. 1,400 grams. And then the last one, 201 grams. And I want to go to decagrams. So I'm starting here with my unit of grams, and I just want to go to the deca. And I'm moving 1 to the left, so that's 20.1 decagrams. So hopefully you got the hang of it by now. What I would like you to do is try those 10 problems on your own that are on your paper. If you don't have a paper and you're just jotting this down, copy it from these slides and then press pause, try them out, and when you're done, press play and I'll put them on the board for you. So here are all your answers. Hopefully you did an awesome job.